Hi. So the topic of this video today is going to be idealism in the 4 NFs and how each of these types has positive aspects to their idealism that are unique to them. And I want to first give a general explanation of the NF temperament and then go into the 4 types. So in general, what makes these 4 types the idealistic temperament is that all 4 of these types lead with their first 2 functions are one of the value system functions and intuition. So when you have strong values and you're intuitive, you get idealism, because strong values, so let's say peace and justice, and then intuition takes these values and it makes them big, because intuition is all about the big picture. And it looks at the world in a very universal way. So you're gonna want world peace and justice. And that creates idealism. And intuition is also vision. So you might have kind of vision for the world, an image of how the world should be. It's very future oriented. And so that's the combination that creates idealism. And some of the common themes of these 4 types are that, well, number one, of course, that they all want to change the world, have an impact, and they're all very future oriented, so they're going to be a little bit nonconformist, or at least kind of have their own independent vision for the world, because it's all about not what is, but what can be. The possibility of, because they want to create change. They don't want to leave things as they are. They're not traditionalists. They're all about the future. So they're going to have some kind of either rebellious side or revolutionary side, or they're not going to be mainstream usually in some way. And other common themes are authenticity and identity, and also romantics. They're all romantics. And by romantics, I don't mean candlelight dinners, which they might actually not like because it's kind of traditional. But what I mean by romantics is having a romantic view of life, seeing life in kind of a romantic way, which can be something like the idea of dying for a cause. That's a romantic notion that might create some kind of antagonism for some types, or at least they'll be like neutral, or it won't just inspire them very much. So for the NF types, this idea of dying for a cause will probably create some kind of emotional reaction in them. It might kind of inspire them in a way, will sound inspiring. They'll be drawn to it because it's kind of a romantic view of the world, of doing something altruistic, of being a hero. Adventure can be like a romantic view of life. Anything that is not like mainstream and kind of movie-like. So that's in general the NF temperament, and they all have these aspects to them. Now, I want to talk a little bit about the idealism in the 4 types and what I see as the strengths of each. So I'll begin with the INFP. The INFP is known as the archetype of the idealist. And the reason that we get this noble title is because this type leads with FI, which is the value system. There are 2 types that lead with, 2 types of idealists that lead with intuition first, INFJs and ENFPs, and then the value system comes second. And in the INFP, the value system is the leading function. So it's dominant ideals, dominant values. That's the dominant part of the personality. And the ENFJ, it's values that begin with society. The ENFJ looks into society and asks what the values are and takes it into themselves, whereas the INFP first looks internally and ask themselves, what do I believe? What do I think is of value? And because it's also an internal system, there's a certain intensity to it. So it's a leading function, a leading value system that's internal. And that's why there is, I believe, a very strong conviction that's unique to the INFP in its intensity. It's not unique in the sense that they are the only ones to have conviction. Obviously, all 4 NFs are very strongly convicted towards their values. But there's something about the INFP that has a very strong kind of all the way, no matter what it takes, no compromise for what I believe. Which is also why it can create like a martyr kind of thing. A lot of altruism, kind of fighting for what you believe in because it's true. There's kind of a purity of intent, or can be, because it's the leading function. So there's just like a pursue, like, this is my belief, this is the value I believe in, this is the vision I have, and I'm going to pursue that all the way with very strong conviction. So that's one thing. And another thing is, I think INFPs have probably the best ability to suffer for what they believe in. And that sounds maybe a bit sadistic, but the truth is that idealism is not always as romantic as it sounds in our heads. In real life, idealism often has a price. People who actually live idealistic lives in action, usually it's not easy. They sacrifice. There's often a need for sacrifice. Right? If you think about people who go to become soldiers because of their ideals, wanting to protect their country, for example. So there's a certain sacrifice in it. So INFPs, I think, have a good ability to kind of tolerate suffering, negative emotions for what they believe. And they're not likely to say, oh, okay, this is making me feel not so comfortable, I'm gonna just, change, and go somewhere else. They're very tenacious and willing to stick up for what they believe in. So we said conviction and ability to tolerate even when it gets tough. Another thing that I think is unique to the INFP's idealism is they have a strong ability to push their ideals through emotion, like have emotional impact. And what I mean by that is that when a person has a certain belief or value that they want to teach society or spread to the masses, when you have a strong emotional bond with that idea and you can convey it in an emotional way, that can create a very strong impact on society, because emotion creates connection. So INFPs can, for example, give a speech or write an article or write a book in which they speak about their conviction, their beliefs, their ideas, their values, their ideals, in a way that's very emotional, and therefore it can create a certain connection, right? When you hear someone speaking about what their belief in a very, you see that they're connected emotionally very much to what they believe in, that creates an impact on you as well. So in that specific way, INFPs can create an impact. And the last thing is the INFP has a strong ability to be very nonconformist or rebellious, even, in the sense of not, if they have a certain belief, a certain ideal, and it's against the social norms of the moment, or certain values of the moment, they can go against that. And that's a good thing, because if we look at the world today, we see that obviously it's not perfect. There are many societies, all societies have values that need to be fixed or changed or just brought in. And INFPs have a strong ability to not follow the pack, to not fall into social pressure, and they can really stand up for their belief and say, I believe in this, even if you think I'm strange, even if that makes me a misfit and outcast, I will do what I believe in. There's no like image consciousness of like, oh, what they'll think of me. When it comes to the ideal, the INFP can overcome that pretty relatively easily, more than other types, I believe. So that is the INFP's strength in idealism. Now the ENFP. So the ENFP, what is so wonderful about their idealism is that they are commonly very cheerful and enthusiastic. And that gives them an ability to really be inspiring, and that's why they're considered like the champions of causes, because they can get so excited about what they believe in that other people see the ENFP and they say, whoa, they're so enthusiastic about this. What's this about? Like, it's a kind of a catchy enthusiasm that they have. It's just kind of like, you can't ignore it. And so they have that, they have that. And they also have charisma and good leadership skills usually. So that's a big plus. And that's it. I told you it's going to be shorter for the other types. I think I told you that. Just because I don't know obviously as much about them. So that's just kind of the things I observed. So apologize for that. But it's, wonderful things. Enthusiasm and charm and charisma and leadership. So that's the ENFP. And that's those are big strengths when you want to kind of like forward a cause or something of that sort. INFJs, their strength in idealism is very tied to their vision. When you want to change something in the world, you need to have an alternative vision for what is. So INFJs obviously have the best advantage here. They can come up with an alternative vision of how to actually do it, how to manifest the ideal of the value. Okay, so you believe in peace. How do we actually make peace? So they can come up with a vision, and they're also very strategic, and they can have a certain plan of how to go about it. And that is the strength of the INFJ. So vision and strategicness, being strategic and planned. ENFJs. So ENFJs, they have the advantage of leadership. They are the ultimate leaders, and they have charisma and confidence, and they're good at articulating their vision. And that is a big, huge plus when you're an idealist, because that means that ENFJs are not just people who can like volunteer for something or fight for a cause. They can actually lead a movement, like actually lead the entire movement. They're more natural at that than the other idealists, even though all the idealists do have leadership skills, including INFPs. But it doesn't come as natural to the other types. So ENFJs have that. It's a big plus. And they also have the social skills, the ability to bring people together and see potential in other people who can help out in whatever they're fighting for. So that's also seeing potential in people in order to bring them into the movement or whatever they're trying to do. That wraps it up, I think. I hope you enjoyed this, and you're welcome to write comments below If you have any ideas for videos you might want me to do, please write them down in the comments, and don't forget to subscribe, and have a good night.